Hi, and welcome to our channel. Over the past 5 years, the price of Bitcoin has increased dozens of times. But the growth of the asset's credibility is not only an increase in its market value. The volume of trades and the number of transactions played a major role here. In the Bitcoin network, a transaction is represented as a transaction, an operation to transfer coins from one address to another. To understand the reason for the popularity of transactions in the Bitcoin system, we need to look at the technology of coin transfer in detail.
Cryptocurrency transactions are an innovative technological solution that allows for confidential electronic money transactions on the internet. Currency transactions on the Bitcoin network have their definition criteria: security, the ECDSA public key creation algorithm, and SHA-256 encrypted hashing makes cryptocurrency theft impossible. Decentralized transactions do not have a single operating center, administrator, or supervisory authority. Irreversibility. Except for prior agreement of users and use of multi-signatures, a transaction cannot be undone. Pseudonymity. Namelessness of the sender and the recipient with open information about the transaction. Low cost of transaction. The minimum fee is less than 10 cents on the dollar. Of course, transactions in the Bitcoin network are still far from the speed of bank transfers. The transfer time of electronic money in the SWIFT system is from 2 to 15 minutes. The thing is that the size of blocks in the chain does not meet the needs of users. Because of these, miners do not have time to quickly process the entire volume of transactions.
Bitcoin transactions are stored in special blocks. Each block holds up to 1 megabyte of transactions between different addresses. All blocks and individual transactions are interlinked sequentially. So, to change data in one block, the whole chain will have to be touched.
To transfer bitcoins from one address to another, the recipient must present the correct Bitcoin address or public key. Creating a transaction block is as follows. The current owner of the coins creates the transaction. In it, he specifies the number of bitcoins to be transferred. The open transaction contains a digital signature and hash of the previous transaction in which the coins were received. The transaction also includes the Bitcoin address of the new owner. Before the transaction is processed, other Bitcoin network users verify the electronic signatures. The signatures help determine that the transaction was created by the coin owner and not another person. Miners accept the transaction for processing and begin calculating the hash amount of the new block for verification. The hash sum includes all the information about the transaction and the path of the bitcoins to the current owner. If the block meets all the criteria, it is sent to the network and the miner is rewarded. In essence, bitcoins are transferred when the next owner wants to dispose of them. In doing so, network members again verify the digital signature through the public keys and hash of the block. Thus, the current sender gets to conduct the transaction to another address.
Since the processing of transfers between addresses is handled by other users of the network, the speed of transactions will be inconsistent. The Bitcoin network does not guarantee a certain transaction time. That said, if a transaction has been posted and verified, it is guaranteed to be processed. But in some cases, confirmation of a transaction can take up to 2 days.
Once a transaction is created and verified, it is added to the general queue along with other transactions. The position in the queue does not depend on any factors and is formed fairly. There is a nuance here. Miners themselves choose the parameters of the transactions, the calculation of which takes priority over others. The higher the commission specified by the sender, the higher the chance of fast processing of the transfer. The transaction fee is the difference between the value of Bitcoin sent to the new address and those received. When transferring in Bitcoin core, the commission is automatically suggested by the client program. Here, everything depends on the size of the transfer in bytes and the number of coins. More often, the service offers two prices: 0.001 Bitcoin for a fast transfer and 0.005 Bitcoin for a cheap one with a long processing time. At the peak of trading in 2018, some users were offering up to $60 per Bitcoin transaction. There is no mandatory fee in the Bitcoin system. In theory, users can set a zero fee for transactions.
Before you can transfer digital money between addresses, you need to create a wallet and purchase Bitcoins. You can use hundreds of online services that implement the Bitcoin wallet format. It is recommended to use the original programs Bitcoin Core for miners or the thin analog of Electrum.
There are three ways to acquire the first cryptocurrency from individuals. To do this, arrange to buy Bitcoins from a user who has the coins. Such people can be found on the local Bitcoin service. This is not a safe way, as often cryptocurrency holders are pretended by scammers. In exchanges, the most trusted option. It is recommended to choose large and proven exchanges. Cryptocurrency exchanger with an impeccable reputation and large reserves for a long time processes thousands of exchange requests. Exchanges. Cryptocurrency exchanges can also be used as an exchanger. The minus is that often such services have a complicated interface. Also, do not forget that by leaving digital money on the exchange, you trust them to third parties. To make a transaction to another Bitcoin address, you need to go to a convenient client and specify the basic parameters of the transfer, the number of Bitcoins, the recipient's address as a cipher. After that, you should wait for transaction confirmation. Most client programs indicate the fee automatically.
Tracking transaction status is important for players on cryptocurrency exchanges, as their profits often depend on the time of confirmation. If you plan to make an urgent transfer, familiarize yourself with the current memo in advance and prioritize your transaction.
Once a transaction is posted, it can have two statuses. Unconfirmed. The Bitcoin transaction has not yet been verified by 6 miners. Often the user cannot dispose of the cryptocurrency even after 5 checks. The transaction will get the official status only after 6 confirmations. Confirmed. The transaction has been verified by 6 independent participants in the Bitcoin network. In this case, the recipient has full rights to further dispose of the digital assets. The wait for the transfer status to change is ideally 10 minutes. That's how long it takes on average to create one block, which will include the user's transaction. A transaction will be processed in 10 minutes if there are no more than 2,000 interactions in the queue. This is given that the average transfer size is 500 bytes and the user has specified a minimum fee. Even in relatively quiet times, the mempool is 10 to 12,000 unconfirmed Bitcoin transactions, so confirmation will take up to 1 to 2 hours, depending on the number of checks desired.
Banks verified the identity of the sender of funds several times. This means that initially, payment systems keep information about clients of financial institutions. Moreover, without providing personal data, no bank will register you in its system.
The Bitcoin system does not require you to register and provide personal information about the owner of the coins. All transactions are confirmed with digital signatures and public encryption keys. It is the first cryptocurrency to establish trust between two parties in a financial system when the trust was originally unattainable. By default, all transfers in the Bitcoin network are pseudonymous. You can track the transaction, but you can't tell who the sender and recipient are. Only by using special protocols for transactions can information about the owner be revealed, and by mutual consent.
Despite the need to raise the commission to $40 at a high meme, Bitcoin transactions remain very affordable. When transferring BTCs equivalent to $1 million, the commission will remain the same, while the bank will take a fixed rate, for example, 1%. You may agree that in this case, it is more important to pay $40 per transaction than $10,000.
Every computer involved in the Bitcoin network is a server that stores blockchain data. This allows the system to continue operating at any time, as long as the internet and the corresponding program are available. Unlike banks, Bitcoin operates 24/7 with equal efficiency. In market relations, no one has the right to interfere in the transaction between two independent citizens, provided that the transaction is voluntary and does not contradict the law. The design of the first cryptocurrency is based entirely on this rule. Although scalability has become more of an issue in recent years, BTC transactions are still fast. Transferring any amount to a user on the other side of the planet in half to 2 hours is a speed surpassed only by the mature SWIFT system and Ripple cryptocurrency. BTC transaction algorithms are well thought out. Even the number of confirmation is not random. 6 checks make the risk of double spending unlikely. Despite numerous hacking attempts and endless DDoS attacks on Bitcoin, the cryptographic system remains intact. Security is maintained by more than 20 million users around the world, checking the integrity of the longest chain every day.
The design of Bitcoin is far from perfect. It would be strange if the cryptocurrency algorithms work like clockwork. A small group of enthusiasts is working on the project, which is far from the huge team of fintech specialists on the largest payment systems. Because of this, many solutions are introduced slowly, which is also hampered by decentralization.
Scalability remains a major transaction problem today. The SegWit solution hasn't helped the system much. In high volatility seasons, users have to wait up to 1 day for transfers. Fortunately, there are already projects under development to help reduce transaction confirmation time to a minimum. In addition to problems with inflation, BTC can hurt the illegal migration of money across the border. Digital currency is also actively used in the black market and darknet. Cryptocurrencies are often used in fraudulent schemes. Often under the guise of a cryptocurrency exchange, criminals seize the Bitcoin addresses of hundreds of users. There is no way to get the stolen funds back due to the irreversibility of transactions and confidentiality of transactions. Transaction flexibility is a type of attack on the network that allows a hacker to change the transfer data before it is verified. If done correctly, the transaction data will disappear and the coins located at the sender's address will disappear.
Thank you a lot for watching this video. Check out the channel for other videos.